Higgsfield has just released their newest feature called Canvas, and I think it solves one of the biggest problems with AI video and image generation platforms right now. Take a look at this. What you're looking at is a visual node workflow for image and video content creation. By dropping in different nodes that control things like prompting or image or video, it can generate different outputs and give you this real visual workflow of what you're trying to create. And so by using Canvas, you get this really easy visual representation of what you're trying to create. And this way you can create templates and adjust things, and it's just so much more easier to control. It's a little tricky to explain. So how about I show you some examples? We'll start with something super basic, and then we'll move through some other examples that kind of add a bit more complexity and scale it up with more power each time. Let's get right into it. The first thing you'll need is to create an account on Higgsfield. So you can use the link in the description to head over there and create one and get started. And right away, you're looking at the homepage, and honestly, it's got a lot going on right now. There is so much here because it has a lot of models and a lot of capability. You have tools for image, video, audio, and so much more. And even within these ones, you have all the different top performing models like GPT Image 2, Nano Banana 2, Seedream. There's just so much here. And that's part of the problem right now. Because there is so much, it's so hard to create an image and then download that and turn that into a video. And before you know it, you just lost yourself and you kind of just give up. But Canvas is what changes that. It makes it so much easier. So on the main page, you'll see Canvas up here. You can click on that and there'll be two things you see on this Canvas page. You can create a new canvas, you can open existing canvases, but what I recommend you start on is go to the templates. Click on this and you'll see there are currently 5 different templates. So if we look at the long video example, we can click on that and it's going to load the canvas. Now we can't edit these in any way, but you can just sort of have a look at them and see what's going on. And one of the other cool things is sometimes you can actually see people browsing these as well. You'll see these little name tags come up. Look, there's one right there. So these are living documents that multiple people can use at the same time. And I'll show you that a little bit later when we talk about the team structure. But here, just to give you a quick brief of what's going on, we have a prompt node. This is generating an image, and we also have another prompt node, which is generating another image. And then these are connecting to create video generations. And it's just creating a long video. So if we go back out, maybe you might want to use image edit. We load this one and we can see we've got an asset dropped in of a character design, and we generate an image that's changed his hair to green. And then we also have a scene of a guy swimming in the pool, and we want this character to replace him. So we can join those two and create an entirely new image. If you just want to get started and you want to just edit an image exactly like this kind of template has done, you can just click add, and that's going to create a new canvas with this already laid out for you. And then you can just substitute with your own assets. I recommend just having a little browse of them, getting an idea of what they're trying to accomplish. And then jump over back to your canvases and create a new one. Now I've already got one, so we're going to jump into that and have a look at the examples I've created. So first, a quick UI demonstration of how to actually control your canvas. So around the screen, you have a few things. On the bottom left, you've got a undo, redo button. You can zoom out to fit your canvas. So if you zoom in too far, you can just go out and zoom to all basically. You can also zoom in and out with these buttons. I prefer using the mouse to control. So to do that, holding down the middle mouse button and drag and pan, you can hold down control and zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. You can click on things to select things, and this usually has context menus so you can lock them down or download images and delete them. You can also delete things using a keyboard as well, so you can click on nodes and hit delete, and that's going to delete. If you make a mistake, you can actually use Ctrl-Z to undo. Another menu is down on the bottom of the screen here, so you have your selection tool, which is just for picking. You have your pan tool, so you can click that and then you can just drag around. You can also do things like draw. So if we go over here and we can click on our draw tool, we can change the color. We can draw things like this. You can erase things. The next one is sticky notes. So you can put notes on there if you need to remind yourself of something, like do this. You can do shapes as well, so you can drag out shapes and use them as backgrounds. You can lock these off so you can't actually move it around, and then you can click on it to unlock it and then delete it if you want. You can add text, so you can drop in some text like I have. You might already see, you can add a heading, drop this in. If you don't want it, just click on it, delete. You can sticker things, like you give this a thumbs up, and you can also comment on things as well. So you might say, this needs fixed. Because if you look on the top up here, there is actually a team chat and a share. So you can click on this and share. You can make it public or private, but you can also make teams and work on a canvas together. So if you click on team chat and you have people there, you can call them directly through the Higgsfield platform, or you can use the chat to type to them. And so there's a lot of collaboration tools in the canvas itself as well. Okay, let's get into the first example. We're going to make it super basic. Okay, so if you look at this, here's our example 1, and we are just trying to create an image. And there's a few ways you can do that. So if we right click, you can add your nodes, and there's different nodes here like prompt, image, video, voice, and LLM, which is basically like a Claude or ChatGPT assistant that you can add in, type things to. You can also upload and add assets that you've already created in the past, but we'll get into all this in a moment. And you can also add nodes from the bottom here, but I think right click's just the faster, easier option. So the most basic one we could do is image generator. And this is like Nano Banana or whatever, and we can actually select what model we want to use. We can click on this here and we have all our models ready to pick. So we can use the latest GPT image 2, we can use Nano Banana 2. You can create multiple up to 4 to do batch generations. We can open our settings, and over here we can change our aspect ratio. Maybe we want to do this for a shorts content, so we can change that. We can drag nodes around as well, and it's really nice that it kind of aligns to everything, keeps your canvas kind of organized. And go back to our options, change your resolution, your batch size, your aspect ratio. You can also just click on the node, put in your prompt here. So the basics of this is you could just drop in an image node, type out a prompt, and then hit generate. But maybe you want a bit more control. So I've started with the prompt node, and I put in this prompt to create a Viking miniature resin style character. But you can see I haven't described anything because I'm controlling it from the prompt into the image generation. We're just going to copy and paste this. And we can drag this out a bit if we want to kind of create more space. But then we want to convert that into an image, and you'll see this output here. So if you click on that, and we can click on image generation, and it makes this line that connects the nodes. And that's how you kind of guide things along. Whatever's connecting is affecting the next thing in line. This one's just super basic. So we just have a prompt going straight into an image generation. We have our settings and we hit generate. So that's what I've done here. I've created this prompt that details out the character, the style, etc. And then it's generated, and this is the result it's gotten. So that's your step 1 basic level. But maybe we want to take that a little bit further and have a bit more control. That's where example 2 comes in. So here I've got example 2. And you can see I have 2 prompts. So originally I had my Viking Berserker miniature, and I've got it in here. And you can see I've actually added prompt information in our image generation as well. So what I've done is I've put in everything about controlling the style output that I want into the image generation node. And I've put everything about the character generation into my prompt node. So what I'm telling it here is everything about the look of the character. It's a Viking Berserker standing, doing a rallying call, etc., etc. But there's nothing about it's a miniature or it's this sort of style on a white background. There's none of that. All of that is in here. So in the image generation node, that's where I'm saying, okay, this is a resin 3D printed, hand painted professional model standing on this. It's on a white background, etc. So this way, if I wanted to create a different character, I could plug it into the image generation, which is going to have that template styling, but then just drop in a new prompt. And that's what I've done here. So I can click on this remove connection just by clicking on the line itself. And I've created this prompt for an elvish female archer character. And I've dragged and dropped that in, remembering that all the style of the actual finished product is in that image generation. And then I hit generate. And when you do multiple generations, you'll actually have this little carousel in the bottom so you can select the next one. And look at this. This is what it generated. So perfect. White background. It's still a miniature. It's still the same style. It looks like a hand-painted resin model, but it's now an elven character, right? Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, maybe let's just try an entirely new one. Let's do a live demonstration of a new character. So we're going to break this connection, and I've hidden a little empty prompt one up here, and I've got a prompt here for a mech character. So a towering mech character standing in combat ready stance. So we're going to drag this in. Our styling is still in our image generation. Everything is still the same. All we do is hit generate, and we'll wait for the results. Hopefully we have a mech character this time. And there we go. It has the same style. It still looks like a miniature on a little black base, white background, but we've completely replaced the character with our mech design now. And you can just keep doing that. Create these entirely new characters and just keep that same style consistently, all from the canvas. You don't have to jump between windows or anything. It's just super simple. I'm going to show you another example, which is going to take it even further. But first, let me just show you something to help us get there. Here, we have an image editing workflow. What I've done here is I've actually dropped in an asset, something I'd created on Higgsfield in the past. And you can do that by going to your assets, and it's going to show you everything you've done before. And you can just add your asset and drop that in. But maybe there's something you want to change about it. So you can drag it out, drop in a new image, and just explain the change. And that's kind of what I've done here. So I've got this background and this sort of scene that I really like, but the aspect ratio was wrong. It was set for widescreen. And because maybe I wanted to create a short video, I needed that different orientation. So that's all I've done. I've dropped in an asset, ran it into an image generation node, and I've just explained to it, keep everything the same, but change the aspect ratio. And I've actually gone into the settings and changed the aspect ratio as well. Then it generated this, but there was a problem with it. It had done what I'd asked, but we can see the camera's pulled back too far now. So it's not clear what our character is, and I want it nice and close like that original image. So I just basically did another image node. I pulled that out and I said, move the camera closer to the subject and make the background more blurred. And that's what it did. It kind of actually moved the character forward towards us, but hey, it did a good job. It got there in the end, all right? So you can see this is great for just sort of moving through things and getting that visual representation of what's changing along the way. I really like this. It's hard to go back to the old way of doing things now, honestly. So with that knowledge, let's go into example 3, because this is going to really blow your mind. What I've built here is a workflow for taking a scene, which is on the right, and replacing it with a new character, which is on the left, and creating a video generation output from that. So what I've done is I've brought in an asset, which was actually that elf that we generated before. And I brought in the scene, which was the one I just showed you when we had to change the aspect ratio. And what I want to do is put this elf into this scene and animate it. And using some of the knowledge that we've built up already, I've broken up the video generation into kind of 2 segments as well. I've kept the video generation to explain how the camera in the scene is moving. So I'm telling it that the camera slowly pans in as the last brush stroke is made. And after a slight pause, the miniature comes to life and runs away. But then I've also added in a prompt to explain what's changing. So I'm telling it, replace the Viking miniature in the workbench scene with the new elven miniature. And I just gave it a bit more description. I wonder how generic you could go with this. Maybe you could just say, replace the scene with the new character, and maybe it does a good job. But I just wanted to give it a bit more detail so it knew what to do exactly and not waste credits, basically. So that's why I told it the Viking miniature and the elven miniature, and that's what was swapping. So I hope that makes sense. And this is the result that came out of it. How cool is that, right? Does that make sense? Like how powerful this is to be able to have these ideas of what you're trying to do in your mind and then bringing them together through the canvas. It's just such a different way of playing around with the AI. Now let's move into our final example, and this is going to take it to kind of the ultimate stage. I'm trying to build out maybe a shorts generation factory. I want to be able to create multiple video generations by keeping the one scene but just changing the character each time and just pumping them out. Instead of having to grab images and then move over to Cdance and load that in and change it and delete it. No, none of that. You can just do it all from Canvas, set it up something like this, and then connect it all. It might not look like much now, but I'll explain how it all connects, and maybe that will make more sense. In the top left, we've got our scene. So we've got a workbench with a miniature, and I want that miniature to be replaced by these characters. And I have my little prompt here, which is going to explain what is changing. I'm not going to add all the details because we've kind of covered that already, but the basic way of how you'd connect things, I'll explain. And in the bottom here, we have our results. So these are all video generation nodes, and they're going to be our results for each of the characters above. So what we're going to do, we're going to drag our scene in to each node. This is kind of our base scene that we're working from. And then we also need our prompt, because that's going to explain, and the prompts always go into the T for the text. So that's going to go into each video node and explain what's happening. And then we're going to take our character and we're going to drop that to each of the video generation below. So the top one goes to the bottom one, the top one goes to the... And then what you do is just go through and click each one and generate. I'm not going to do that now because it's going to take too much time. Another thing you can do is you can just select them all and you can just run pipeline and it will just pump them all out in one go. So you can just see how powerful this is as a templating workflow kind of canvas, I suppose. It's giving you that visual representation of what you're trying to develop in an easy to understand format. It eliminates a lot of the confusion of jumping between different tabs and windows and assets and models, and all that's gone. Once you start using Canvas, you won't want to go back to the traditional chat box prompting style. I guarantee it. This is just so much more user-friendly, and honestly, it's probably the way these AI tools are going to start moving. Like, it's that good. So if you want to jump into Higgsfield, like I said, check out the description below for my link, create an account on Higgsfield, start playing around with Canvas, set up your templates and start generating content. You'll love this setup. It's so intuitive, it's easy to use, and there's just so much more you can do with this. This is just some basic examples. You can go even further than this, and we'll have to save that for another time. So I hope you found value in this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel, and thanks for watching.